Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/OhNoConsequences. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So for today, I thought we would just swing back and take a look at OhNoConsequences and do top of the month, and just see what it's got. Cross-posted from r/drew off my chest. My 28 female, boyfriend 30 male, ridiculed my gift for him for our anniversary, in front of our friends. Yesterday, me, my boyfriend, who we'll call Mike, and our friends decided to grab lunch together to celebrate our 2-year anniversary. Mike was the perfect boyfriend, even though we met through an online blind date arranged by our common friends. He always made it into a point to treat me nicely and communicate with me calmly. But everything literally came crumbling down on me yesterday at our lunch celebration with our friends. The first time we celebrated our anniversary last year, we made it into a promise to celebrate each year of our relationship with each other alone. But our friends decided to arrange a celebratory lunch for us this time. Naturally, felt thrilled to celebrate with them since they were the ones who set us up on an online blind date during the pandemic, which is where our relationship started. They were so supportive ever since. They even paid for the reservation and food to make this special for us. It was in the middle of the lunch when this happened. His other friend cleared his throat and looked at Mike meaningfully. He then reached for something underneath the table and gave me a small box containing a dainty gold necklace with a diamond heart pendant in the middle that I've been eyeing since I saw it at the mall the last time we went out shopping together. I was so happy that I hugged him so tight and kissed him because of how thoughtful he was and how beautiful the necklace was. I was literally so shocked and giddy. I felt so happy by then that I told him that he was not the only one with a gift, and I grabbed the book I wrote and bookbinded for him and for our anniversary. Earlier last year, I started composing a book inspired by our story. I planned to give it to him on our 2nd anniversary as a way of remembering and cherishing our bizarre rom-com love story, and some few poetries in there, focusing on the things in our relationship that only us know about. Like our inside jokes, experiences, challenges, and how much I love and adore him as a person. This was all dedicated to him. I handed the gift to him and told him how much I loved him, and our table was so noisy from all the squealing and cheers from our friends. I was so excited to give this to him because I was so proud of my work, and I poured my heart out into this gift because I genuinely loved him and everything about him. I spent my time proofreading and rewriting each page to make it perfect. But all he did was look at my gift with a, "What the fuck is that?" kind of face. He then proceeded to ask me how much my gift is and bragged that he bought the necklace from a very expensive brand. He told me that he was disappointed at my gift and that I'm embarrassing myself. He proceeds to criticize the book's interior and exterior design, saying that it looks wonky and that I shouldn't force myself to do things I clearly have no talent for. Then he bragged about his gift to our friends, which made me feel so sick and ashamed of my gift, and also shocked because my boyfriend seemed like another person back there. He was always the soft-spoken one, and seeing and hearing him insult my love for him crushed me. They all stayed silent and watched him as he yapped and yapped about my book that I just ended up grabbing my book and started walking out of the restaurant, straight to my apartment. He and our friends have been texting me, and I haven't answered anyone yet. One of his texts said that he was just looking out for me and didn't want to embarrass myself in front of our friends. I just felt so small and stupid for making handmade gifts when I know that I'm not an artsy person, and I felt embarrassed and sad about how he humiliated me back there. I mean, the book didn't have a fancy exterior, that's true, but what hurts more is the fact that he insulted it immediately, without even looking at what I wrote in there first. This has been weighing me down since yesterday, and I thought maybe sharing this here will make me feel better. Thank you, Reddit. I hope everyone is having a great new year. Smiley face. Edit. Thank you guys for all the messages you sent me. They gave me some ideas and validated my feelings, and for that, I'm very thankful about. I'm going to break up with him today. I followed one of the comments and sent him the necklace back. He called me, and he was crying, asking me if I'm throwing out his love for me. I almost broke out of the phone to punch him. I was so angry. He did that to me, and now that he tasted his own medicine, he's going to be mad about it? He said that I can't break up with him over the phone, and I think he's going to force himself to my apartment. So, I tried calling some of our friends for help. When they arrived, they hugged me and sat me down. Apparently, our friends also aren't contacting him, and they told him to get lost, and that they were never friends after that. They also came over with some of my favorite foods and all comforted me, saying that they thought he was great because he used to be such a green flag. They also told me that I have nothing to be embarrassed about because all he did back there was humiliate himself, not myself. They will be staying with me throughout the night to keep me safe from him, and if he tries anything weird and aggressive, I know a lawyer friend, so I'm gonna be okay. Thank you everyone for your help and time to read this. I'm thankful for all of you. Sad face. So, about a month ago, I went back home to Idaho just to visit family, and during that time, it was my younger cousin's birthday. He's 7. And I wandered down to the grocery store and decided to pick him up some Minecraft Legos, because while he's never played Minecraft, he saw the Minecraft movie and absolutely loved it. So I got him a pretty decently sized Lego set, and I thought he would really enjoy it. And he did. He loved it. And, well, about a month later, in the mail, I got a thank you note. It was definitely something his parents or my uncle made him write, but in the thank you note was, Dear Oz, thank you for the Minecraft Legos. I love them because it has a chicken jockey. It is definitely the most boilerplate thank you note, and I don't think that he enjoyed writing those at all. But it still meant a lot to receive it, and I'm just gonna keep it and hold on to it. And I think that thank you note means more to me than the Legos do to him, which is a weird position to be in. Because I saw that look of absolute silent shock and excitement when he opened up the Lego set and just stared at it for a good solid little bit. But the Minecraft Legos were bought with money. He probably spent more time writing that thank you note than I spent picking that Lego set out. And what matters to me is the time and effort, not the money that I spent. And that brings me back to this post here. The boyfriend was more focused on the money that he spent. And while yes, it is very thoughtful to buy your partner a necklace that they had been eyeing in the mall for quite some time, to then go and shit on and humiliate and just completely tear down something that was crafted with love, heart, care, and effort over multiple days with lots of time being put into it, their soul being spilled into it. It may not be perfect, it may not have the flair of something professionally done, but it was made for you, with the time and effort and dedication that comes from a partner who cares about you, who wanted to give you something that was a labor of love. And the response they got in front of everyone was, oh, don't embarrass yourself, you shouldn't do this again. The friends are right. The only person who should feel any form of shame over how that lunch went was the boyfriend. If I went to a friend's 2-year anniversary lunch and they spent the time just shitting on their partner's handmade gift, that person is no longer my friend because I don't want that person in my life. It's just incredibly gross and speaks volumes to their true character because either A, he was embarrassed to admit he liked the gift because he was afraid of judgment from others, so thought that if he shat on it, it would get him more points with the social circle, and it was the cool thing to do. Or B, that was his genuine raw thoughts. But frankly, it doesn't matter which one it is because he still chose to say those things to his partner. He still chose to tear her down the way that he did. And whether he genuinely believed it or just did it to fit into the in crowd, doesn't matter. In both scenarios, he chose to hurt his partner. This post was posted directly to OhNoConsequences by 1961 Tracy. Fraudulent paperwork doesn't help. I used to work in traffic court, and we'd have what we'd call frequent flyers. It would always be the same people with the same violations that never learn their lessons. Then there was a whole other level of frequent flyers that were so bad, we never wanted to see them because they were always arrogant, impatient, and entitled. They felt they were above the law and thought driving safely was a joke. One woman that we dealt with for several months was named Tina. She had 4 cases under appeal, all speeding, and 1 trial pending. She was in some sort of healthcare job that required a valid license, but also had a code of ethics for people on her profession to follow, which included not having multiple speeding violations on her driver's license in 1 year. Her driver's license was under review, and the fifth case would definitely suspend it. She visited us once a week regarding the appeal status and insisted on only talking with my supervisor. According to Tina, the regular rank and file was not knowledgeable enough for her needs. She was super desperate because she was about to be let go from her job and possibly have her professional license yanked. Anytime she visited, she wasted tons of time and energy. She took the fifth case to trial. Her charges were for speeding and not having insurance in her possession. At the arraignment, the judge asked Tina for the insurance, but she said she forgot it and that she will bring it to the trial. About a month goes by and the trial day comes for Tina. It didn't go well for her. She had to pay a huge fine for speeding, and the judge denied her insurance. Altogether, it was about a $3,000 ticket. Of course, she took out her uncontainable wrath on the clerk who gave her paperwork to sign, and a bailiff had to be called to deal with her. About 2 weeks later, I see a complaint filed for her from the DA. The insurance she tried to show the judge was fraudulent. Her insurance had been canceled prior to the issuing date of the ticket. Her record was so bad she couldn't get insurance, so she ended up lying about it. After she gets served with the complaint, she ends up admitting at arraignment that she falsified the insurance information. She ended up with about $2,000 in fines, a misdemeanor, and a work project commitment. She completely melted down when she was told her license was suspended for 6 months. All the work on the appeals to prevent her license suspension went down the tubes because she thought she could be sneaky. She didn't count on the trial clerk verifying with the insurance company she listed. After the trial, she went from department to department, crying and looking for my supervisor. She was creating so much of a distraction that the bailiffs had to move her to the parking lot, where she sat and cried while she waited for her Uber. Her appeals ended up being denied and her license ended up being suspended for 2 years altogether. We thankfully never saw her again. I assume she moved states and started her shenanigans elsewhere because I doubt she learned her lessons. See, the unfortunate part of this is while the person did face a $5,000 consequence and their license suspended, they're probably just going to continue this and their shenanigans aren't going to stop. They're just going to continue being a menace on the roads, and it's not their fault. They're not the problem. It's the clerks. It's the people that are unable to just simply forgive her tickets. They're the problem, not her for racking all of them up. Also, there is one hell of a healthy dose of irony in the fact that a healthcare provider lied about having insurance. I know that it's not health insurance, but still, there is just a little bit of irony there. Cross-posted from r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my wife my mother is correct and she needed to be a parent today and she fucked it up? I'm waiting in the airport and I need to know if I fucked up or not. This week, my daughter, she's in middle school, lost a classmate. My daughter has not taken it well, and overall, this is her first experience of someone she knows dying. The whole class was excused from school today, and the funeral is happening right now. I unfortunately could not be there. I tried, but my paid time off was denied, and we cannot lose this job. I flew out Wednesday night, and I'm coming back now. Our daughter is a mess. She was friends with the girl that passed away. The plan was for my wife, she's unemployed at the moment, to take her to the funeral/mass and just be there. My wife is more spiritual than the average person and hates all things with the dead. Funerals, viewing, and so on. This one is only a mass funeral, no viewing. She believes in ghosts and will avoid funerals like the plague. We discussed it on Wednesday, and she said she would take our kid and then go to the gravesite. I got a call from my daughter sobbing that she wasn't going to the funeral. My wife was refusing to take her. When I got her to answer my call, she told me she can't do it, and she's scared to go. I called up my mom and asked her to pick up my daughter and take her to the funeral. My mom left work and took her there. They are there now. I got a call from my wife after with her crying because my mom tore her a new one. The gist was my mom called her a bad parent and that it's so fucked up that she couldn't take our kid to the funeral of a classmate. She wants me to make my mom apologize, and I told her my mom was right. That this was something that our daughter needed and she fucked up. That she wasn't acting like a parent because of her fear of the dead. All she needed to do was stay through Mass. We got into a huge phone call argument and she's calling me a huge dick. My mom is apparently getting texts also, and I told her to not let our daughter know that we're fighting and if she could look after her for the day. She agreed. I walked into this 100% thinking that this was going to be a situation of mother-in-law taking precedent over the wife and the wife being unfairly treated, but no. This is one of those curveball mother-in-law stories. The wife couldn't be a parent for her daughter. She couldn't take her child to the funeral of a classmate who died, a friend who died. She needs support. She needs to be able to go and grieve and be able to be with other friends who are probably going through something similar so they can all grieve together. But the wife is letting her fear of the dead get to her and essentially take that from her daughter. So yeah, the consequence of that is your mother-in-law tearing you a new one. Rightfully so. Grandma took time off work to make sure your daughter could properly grieve. I think she has every right to be upset. The husband's words were crude, but they were pointed. Yeah, the wife fucked up. She let her fear of ghosts get in the way of allowing her daughter to grieve. That's something that would follow her for her entire life, of the guilt, the regret, and the inability to get over the fact that she wasn't able to properly grieve the loss of her friend. The mom should be thanking the grandma for taking time off to take the daughter to the funeral, so that way the mother didn't have to confront her fear of ghosts. Cross-posted from r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my dad he's a terrible person and father when he wanted to know why I want nothing to do with him? My parents divorced when my sister, 21 female, and I, 19 male, were very young. Our dad cheated on mom and immediately tried to alienate us from her by saying the woman he cheated with was our new mom. She was pregnant too, which only made everything more fucked. The other woman lost the baby at like 5 months, and she ended up leaving dad because of it, and because of us and our mom. Dad blamed mom for all of that. He used to say mom cursed the pregnancy and did some kind of magic to make her lose the baby. It was an insane thing to hear as a really young kid. He eventually got married again to someone else, and my sister and I were still really young, so he tried to turn her into our mom. He would punish us for using her first name, and she would punish us for it too. They used to tell everyone she was our mom. They told our teachers, our friends' parents, and literally anyone they interacted with that she was our mom. We got into huge trouble for saying otherwise. My dad would tell us mom was trying to stop us from being a family. He said mom made his wife sterile and accused her of all kinds of fucked up things. His wife went along with it and would go crazy at mom in front of us, and then try to make us side with her. Because we didn't turn against mom and didn't believe them, they got more crazy with their accusations and attempts to ruin our relationship with mom. My mom fought them in court. She had us in therapy. We spoke to people from CPS and the courts, and CPS let this go on for years. I was 14 and my sister was 16 before they reduced Dad's contact with us to supervised visits once a month. And even still, we needed to talk to him twice a month on the phone too. We hated it. We hated them. We saw how awful our dad was, and Mom never had to say a thing against him for us to see it. Me and my sister went no contact with my dad when we turned 18. She hasn't spoken to him in 3 years. Well, it's 16 months for me. I might have fucked up though, because he kept reaching out via fake accounts and socials, and then he used a family member's phone to call me, and I answered because I didn't realize it was him, and I let him talk. And then I told him he was a shitty person and father, and explained that all the stuff he did to Mom and us made him that way. I told him he was the one who cheated, yet he tried to alienate us from Mom and tried to get us to replace her with some rando, and he told us over and over that Mom was the reason the baby died that time. I told him all the stuff made him a person I didn't ever want in my life, and I told him there's nothing to fix it. I ended the call and texted that relative that I wouldn't answer their calls again, or texts that were clearly from Dad. I have family members on Dad's side asking me why I had to be so awful to him and why my sister and I aren't grown enough to approach an adult relationship with him maturely and to see the good in him. They even said he fought so hard for us and we should appreciate him being there. Am I the asshole? Why is it always the kid's responsibility to repair the relationship the parent destroyed? Don't you see how hard he's trying? Yeah, I see how hard he's trying to get what he wants, but I don't see him giving a shit about what I want. Even now, it's all about him and what he wants, never about me. Why is it my job to be the mature one when forming a relationship with my father, who told us that a miscarriage was responsible because of my mother's magic? Huh? Honestly, they should be asking, why is it that both children want nothing to do with you? Could it be that maybe the father put his desires to replace the mother first and never really made an attempt to actually communicate or listen to what the kids wanted? Could it maybe be because he forced a relationship and tried to actively replace the mom by force and would punish them if they wouldn't follow along, then leverage some pretty awful accusations against the mom in the process? I don't know. Those could be options. Maybe. Who knows? Cross-posted from r/Tales from the Front Desk. I tried to warn someone not to dispute his no-show charge, but they never listen. Long story. I work at a big brand name hotel in Beach Town. In the summer, our rates skyrocket to almost $300 a night, and we're usually sold out. Someone booked 2 rooms for a long weekend and decided not to show or bother calling to cancel. Our no-show policy is pretty standard. 1 night's cost for each room you booked. This gentleman was charged over $500 total for his 2 no-show rooms. It sucks, and it's a lot of money, but it's 100% his fault. The gentleman called me a couple weeks later when he got his credit card bill. I explained to him our policy and that he wouldn't be getting a refund. He went off. "You don't know who you're messing with. I'm not paying you, idiot." Yada yada. Eventually told me he was just going to dispute it with his credit card company. This is basically what I told him. "Sir, if you want to dispute the charge with your bank, you have every right to do that. I would not personally recommend it though. If this was a case of a stolen credit card, I would agree with you. But we have documentation showing you were informed of the no-show policy. However, if you wish to pass this issue along to the bank, I will gladly deal with them. When you dispute a charge, the bank will front you the money while they investigate. When he got the money from the bank right after he filed a dispute, he called me to gloat. He told me how stupid I was and yada yada. What I don't think he understood is that the money is pretty much a loan, under the assumption that his charges really were fraudulent, which they weren't. I easily won the dispute, proving that he willfully did purchase these rooms and was informed of the no-show policy. The bank billed him back for the money they fronted him. He called me again. Lucky me. He told me that the bank was billing him and that I had to pay it. He said because it all started with my hotel, it was our responsibility to pay his bank bill. At this point, I didn't even know what more to say. I just said, "No, have a good day," and hung up. Down the road, he called again, saying that his credit card company was threatening to turn over the bill to collections if he didn't pay. Now he wanted us to pay $800 because of the interest. I told him that his personal finances are his own business and to stop calling. I tried to warn him in the beginning. The guy 100% got what he deserved, without a doubt. Like, dude was gloating about it, thought he got one over on the hotel because he decided not to just do this simple thing and inform them that he wouldn't be able to attend and had to cancel. Like, he could have just done that and things would have been a-okay, but no. He triggered the no-show policy, got charged for it, and got upset. Then gloated that the bank gave him the money back and didn't realize that wasn't them just simply giving it back. That was them, having good faith in him. And oopsie whoopsie, the faith was misplaced. And he learned the hard way. As just a general heads up and a reminder, don't just randomly report transactions that you have buyer's remorse over, or that you didn't read the fine print for, or didn't understand the policy of the company you were working with, Because, well, you just think it's a magic way to get the money back? Because they do investigate. They dot their I's and cross their T's to make sure the money they're giving back to you is actually worthwhile. So, because I'm a very paranoid person, and it doesn't help that my paranoia was proven to be correct, for money that I don't plan to keep in my savings account, I actually have another checking account that's specifically for storing, like, play money, pretty much. And that one, the account number has never been used outside of it. It doesn't have a debit card attached to it, and the money just sits there for me to manually transfer each time I need to make a purchase. Is this tedious as fuck? Yes. But has it saved my ass numerous times? Yes. And it really doesn't help that my method here was proven to be a good choice, because recently, I woke up one morning with an attempted charge of $800 to Ticketmaster. Made 4 different times. All of them were declined because, guess what, motherfucker? The card maybe has like $30 on it unless I say otherwise. You don't have to dispute the charges if they can't charge your card. I will say that this has backfired on me numerous times, and the amount of headaches it does cause is, definitely quite a bit, but at least it means I know exactly where every penny is going. And before you say, oh, well, odds, just turn your debit card off when you're not using it. Yes, I understand that is very much a possibility, but it doesn't tell me if there's potential fraud, and on top of that, it's actually 3 additional button clicks to turn my card on and off than it is to just, throw money between 2 checking accounts. So, I know this is the equivalent of making a grilled cheese in the toaster, and it is definitely not the smart thing to do, but it's working for the time being, and I know it's a fire hazard, but it's all I got right now. And it saved me from a fraudulent Ticketmaster charge. Cross-posted from r/bestov. This post was collected by Hogwarts Zoologist. The original OP is Intention Salt 4788, posted to r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my coworker he should teach his daughter tact? I, 32 female, work in an office with my coworker Ken, 40 male, who has a daughter, Esme. Esme? Pronunciation. Esme! Fuck, why are there 2? Shit. We're just gonna go with Esme. I, 32 female, work in an office with my coworker Ken, who has a daughter named Esme, 15 female. Ken and I are friendly. We've worked together for a few years now, and over the last year, maybe I've been trying to open the door with something romantic. I was being very obvious, but it never went anywhere, and I thought that it was because he was clueless. A few weeks ago, Esme came with Ken's dad to bring lunch to Ken. It was sweet. She was polite to everyone in the office, including me. They visited for about half an hour before I went to take my lunch. I always come in and ask Ken if he wants to join me for lunch, and I knew his visitors were leaving soon. So I did the same as always. He said no, which is no big deal. Sometimes he says no, sometimes he says yes. I asked if he was sure, and he said he was. And I asked, "Are you sure you're sure?" Sort of teasingly. His daughter speaks up and said, "He said he's sure." And things got a little awkward. No one said anything, but Ken and his dad looked shocked. I said I was just asking, and she told me to take a hint. And then Ken finally told her to stop. She said, quote, "It's not my fault she doesn't understand at her big age." I ended up crying. We didn't talk for a while and I steered clear. Last week I finally talked to him about it. He apologized and we talked a little more openly about stuff. Ken hadn't dated since his divorce 11 years ago, and he didn't plan to. He said he had been happily uninvolved. After some clarification, he meant 100% completely celibate. Didn't think people did that nowadays, since then. And he didn't want to change anytime soon, if ever. He told me he knows I'm interested, but he didn't return the feelings. We were okay, it was an adult conversation, and all went well. This is where things turned sour. I told him I understood, I apologized for pushing, and I asked him why his daughter treated me the way she did. He apologized, but he said she was protective of his choices. She knew that he was not interested in anyone, and he had expressed his discomfort around my flirting to his family. I told him that still wasn't validation for how she spoke to me, and that he needed to teach her tact, as ultimately, I am someone being rejected by the person I had feelings for. She should have been polite and treated me with empathy. It was like his mood changed on the spot. He starts talking about how he prides himself on being a single father and raising a strong, intelligent daughter. I apologized immediately for offending him and said I just felt that she was brash. He ended the conversation and we haven't spoken since. I've noticed some people giving me the cold shoulder. Finally, I asked a friend what was up, and she told me that some people thought it was wrong of me to have said that to Ken. I left it alone and figured it would blow over, but I've had this nagging stomachache since then. I think part of me is looking for reassurance or maybe just laying it out in front of me to clear my head. I think I just need an outsider's perspective. Comments on the post. User CalicMac comments, "Your description of your actions was actually uncomfortable to read. He has clearly indicated that he was not interested in a romantic relationship with you, yet you were pushy about going to lunch during a time he was focusing on a family visit. Your comments about his daughter were icing on the cake, relative to being rude and dismissive. You're the asshole." User Martinezan Murder comments, "I had vicarious embarrassment reading this. OP has some nerve lecturing anyone on having tact when she seems to be severely lacking it herself, as well as social graces in general. She has made the work environment awkward and uncomfortable by being pushy with her unwanted attention and advances on Ken. Then, since she couldn't handle not getting the reception that she was wanting or expecting, she goes off on his child's behavior? I can't imagine being so clueless or socially inept that a 15-year-old has to clue you in to read the room because your desperate attempts to win over her father are making things so uncomfortable. Like the poor guy was literally having lunch with his family." Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if the celibacy part was his way of trying to gently let OP down because he just isn't into her pushy, overbearing ass. User Detail Equivalent 7708 comments, "You're the asshole. Your actions are the literal textbook definition of sexual harassment. You engage in a course of conduct that you knew or ought to have known was unwelcome. You flirted in a very obvious way, in your own words, for over a year. The fact he never specifically told you to stop was not a green light to keep going. Then you interrupted him when he had guests, didn't take no for an answer, and were incredibly rude to someone who has been far too kind to you already. The only person who messed up here is you. Stop making things awkward at work and do better." User Throw RA Last Empath comments, "Yes, you're the asshole. Criticizing someone's teenage child was petty and offensive. She didn't say anything wrong considering she already knew your advances make her dad uncomfortable and she just said exactly what she saw. You did need to get the hint already, and honestly, you should have picked up by now or at least left the ball in his court. If you're always asking someone to hang out, even if you break them down enough to give in now and then, if they don't ask you in close to equal amounts, leave them alone." User Bulbasaur Ranch comments, "You're the asshole. You continuously made him uncomfortable with your constant flirting and his daughter finally put you in your place. You just didn't like it. It's not your place to try and teach him how to raise his daughter. Your inability to take the hint is your problem. She doesn't need to show empathy to the woman making her father constantly uncomfortable at work. It's been going on for a year. How could you possibly not realize after all that time he has no interest in you?" User Revolutionary Diet 686 comments, "You're the asshole. You interrupted him while he had company. It wasn't cute when you asked a second time. His daughter does not have to treat you politely or with empathy when you're invading their private space. Don't be rude, and people won't have to respond in kind." User Full Pace 7666 comments, "Yeah, you're the asshole. I'm gonna be real with you, OP. It's your own damn fault this happened. Had you taken the damn hint far sooner, you wouldn't have been called out. Ken's reasons for choosing to not date you or that he's celibate is absolutely none of your business, and it should never have come to that for you to understand he wasn't interested. Esme's response was the wake-up call you needed. I don't think you would have stopped otherwise. And then, when you hear everything, you criticized his child and his parenting. Disgusting. It's like you were wearing a sign on your back saying, 'Take me to HR' in capital bold letters. Leave this man the fuck alone before it affects your professional career." Update in the comments, January 22nd, 2025. "Hi everyone. Okay, so I have accepted my ruling. I feel silly in hindsight that it took me so long to realize it, and I am literally sitting at my desk feeling like an idiot right now. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised by so many people saying I was the asshole at first, but After reading the comments and rereading my post, you got me. I'm not one to fight for my life in the comments, but I was tempted. In hindsight though, yeah, I was an asshole, and a dumb one at that. Concerning Ken specifically and my feelings for him, I'm realizing I was sort of dumb anyway. The thing with Ken is that he's very handsome, and I don't think he realizes how handsome he is, but I also don't think he cares at all. That was an attractive trait, but I think that knowing that should have been my first hint that he wasn't interested in dating. Also, Ken keeps to himself. He's very reserved. He doesn't go out for drinks with the office and stuff like that. It was a stupid thing for me to go after a coworker in the first place, but for me to go after the hermit coworker who is a devoted single father was probably even stupider. I wanted to clear some stuff up. Full disclosure, I was ultimately the reason that this conversation got around the office, because I told a few people about it and things spread. Ken is a gentle, like Clark Kent kind of guy, and everyone likes him. So when anyone hears that anything bad about him, an angry mob forms. Another thing, his daughter is really polite, all things considered. She's really shy and quiet, but she's very friendly. All the older ladies in the office adore her. She's one of those types. Ken did correct her when she commented along the lines of, "Esme, that was uncalled for, knock it off," or something. And she did say sorry right away. I'd never heard her speak so confidently about something as she did when protecting her dad. I feel bad now as I'm looking back at it. I'm sure it's uncomfortable for her on a lot of levels. She's got a point. At my big age, I should probably get it together. Lastly, I'm not neurodivergent. At the risk of sounding like a jerk, I'm just not used to being rejected. Frankly, I've never been in a situation where a man I wanted didn't want me back. I figured he was either oblivious or awkward, but clearly, he was just uninterested. Who knew? Everyone but me, apparently. Anyway, thank you everyone for putting me in my place and helping me see what was in front of my face anyway. I have no idea how I'm going to fix it, but at least I can see now that I was definitely in the wrong. Comments on this post. User Antique Initiative 66 comments. Kudos for knowing how to humbly accept the verdict, OP. Live and learn. OP's downvoted reply. Live and learn indeed. It wasn't pleasant, but at least I can say I grew over the last few hours. User Imaginary Pain 9598 comments. Glad to see this healthy response. Hopefully Ken receives your apology as gracefully as you have accepted your verdict. Heart emoji. OP's downvoted reply. Thank you. Despite sounding crazy in my post, therapy did teach me something. User Martin is in murder comments. I'd recommend revisiting therapy, and I'm not saying this to be rude. You need to work on respecting boundaries and your interpersonal communication skills. Through your words and actions, you created a hostile work environment for your coworker. You will be fortunate if HR does not get involved, since other people have become involved as well. While I am glad that OP has accepted the verdict and will be growing from it, it is kind of crazy how much they buried the lead with the fact the reason why the office gossip was happening was because OP was the one spreading it. Like, OP actually just started drilling holes in their own boat and was shocked to see water pouring in. Also, as a general note, if you're trying to impress your crush or trying to get in the good graces of the person you're crushing on, the fastest way to go the opposite direction is to scold their child. I'm actually kind of curious how many of you in the audience have dealt with this firsthand and what the story behind it is. Oh boy, it's the outro. Today is a late video, and I know that for a fact because, well, yesterday was a really weird day, and it kind of caused some delays, and took me a bit to get the ball rolling. Anyways, gamer subs, use code OZ at checkout. Every time one of you guys actually makes a purchase using code OZ, it really does help me and help the channel out. It helps fill in the gaps where YouTube decides, yeah, you know what, we're just not going to have you in the algorithm anymore, or we're just going to kind of screw with you a little bit and make it difficult for you to actually grow as a channel. So yeah, it really does kind of help alleviate some of that pressure and stress. So thank you to everyone who's used code OZ, and for those of you who might be on the fence of giving gamer subs a try, you can request free samples to be shipped to your home. I can actually see that almost 1,000 of you have actually done that, and it's, yeah, pretty cool, including almost 200 of you requesting the AFK sample packs. So for those of you who were willing to give it a shot, I really appreciate that. Take care, everyone, and sorry for the late upload. It's been a weird couple days.